Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Can you all hear me at the back? Is speaker size all right? Are you okay there? Thank you very much. Welcome to this session, which you all know from your programs is about energy efficiency in action, a little bit about the CRC, but what we can do to be able to address the issues and the challenges of the carbon reduction commitment energy efficiency scheme. My name is Angus Robertson and I'm the Chief Executive of PowerPerfector, and I'm chairing the session, so I'll have the pleasure of introducing speakers. Now, I've got a 10-minute slot and they've each got a 10-minute slot, and then as a panel we would very happily take questions. But it is really about energy efficiency, and in terms of being able to introduce energy efficiency, obviously we've heard an awful lot about sustainability, which is the world that we are moving towards, whether it be wind power, whether it be micro CHP, whether it be solar. All of these things are absolutely essential in order to be able to deal with the challenge of carbon neutrality and reducing carbon emissions going forward. However, those are all very much in the future, shall we say. They take time to build. You can't just quickly put up a wind farm. So how do we deal with it? How do we mitigate against this huge challenge of reducing carbon emissions? Energy efficiency, at the end of the day, is the only way that we can deal with it. And it was quite interesting at the EDF Talk Power Conference earlier this year, where 600 industry experts were. The vote was 49% for the concerns about energy efficiency and how CEOs and chairmen of companies and the public sector and government have to drive the energy efficiency directive in order to achieve things. And this, of course, is where the CRC comes in, because it is the principal instrument that the government has chosen and used in order that commercial, private sector, manufacturing and government actually reduces their carbon emissions essentially in the future. Now, interestingly today, as I got onto the train to come up here from London, I bought the New Scientist, and it's rather prophetic, I suppose. It's the 17th, it was published on the 17th, and it says, "The day the Earth exploded." So one immediately thought, well, this has got something to do with the unpronounceable volcano up to the north of us. And the answer is it doesn't at all. It has to do with another volcano that exploded 74,000 years ago and emitted 2,500 cubic kilometers of magma. Now, that's an awful lot of magma, and it changed the world. But it also says underneath how humans survived the greatest disaster in history. So that may be this prophetic element of what we have to do to mitigate against the challenge that we have. And right at the introduction, we have Lord Rees, who will be known to many of you, who is the President of the Royal Society and also the Astronomer Royal. And he says, this is the first century when one species, ours, risks irreversibly degrading the entire planet's environment. He goes on to say, we must reiterate that the needs of the world cannot be met without the application of the best available science. So that is where we are. It is science that's going to be able to get us out of the mess, so to speak. It's science that we have to concentrate on to be able to reduce carbon emissions. It is also undeniably cultural change that has to take place in our wide environment in order to mitigate against these risks going forward. So those are the challenges that we all have listening to me today, and we have to take back into our workplaces. It's all about the built environment. So if you look at energy efficiency, and I was writing down what I thought were the broad parameters of where we need to focus in the built environment. And when I talk about the built environment, I'm talking about every building in the United Kingdom. And we must remember that 70% of today's building stock is going to be around in 2050, 70%. So all the best building design in the world is not going to get us off the hook. We have to put these technologies into the existing building stock in order to be able to meet the challenges that we're set. And that's being driven by the CRC, obviously. So you have building fabric upgrade, which we probably won't be discussing today. You have demand optimization, which we're all very familiar with, which is variable speed drives, building management systems, motion detectors, heat detectors, whatever you may have in your demand side of your building. Then you have supply optimization, which is something I'm in a very talk about as the Chief Executive of powerPerfector. So I can talk just for a couple of minutes about voltage power optimization. And the difference between what we're doing and what has never been done before is we have that technology that goes to improve the quality of supply, i.e. as it comes into a building. And never before has a technology actually been put in series between supply and distribution in buildings. Now, the Japanese did it with extraordinary success over a period of the last 17 years. And the government gave grants in order that that technology be rolled out in Japan. So this technology has been brought over by this company in order that for the first time supply optimization can be instituted into the UK main supply network. And it's a slow process getting a new technology into a marketplace, but we have some very, very good clients, of which two of them are sitting on the panel, I'm happy to say, the Environment Agency, who are rolling our technology out, and Hilton Hotels, who also have something over 25 of our units. But on top of that, we have market leaders, shall we call them thought leaders, like Tesco's, who will have 1,000 units in and can turn around to me and allow me to say that from 480 units, they can confirm £8.2 million worth of annual savings. So after we've completed a full rollout in Tesco, we would anticipate something like £25 million per annum of savings. And yes, we've done DEC and we've done Ofcom and we've done Ofgen, and we're rolling out in EDF, and British Energy signed a deal because they're a utility provider to take our technology to their clients in order to mitigate against cost, carbon and security of supply, all absolutely essential requirements. So these are things that we have in the supply optimization field, voltage supply optimization, in order to be able to get some savings right at the front of our buildings. And then there's all the other good things that we need to do downstream of that. So if you want to know more about voltage supply optimization, obviously you can reference our company, but I won't say any more for the moment. What I'd like to do now is introduce the first speaker, if I may, and that's Alex Pittman. Alex is the Group Energy Efficiency Manager of the Co-op Estates. And I said to Alex when I first met him, I said, you've got a huge task. You've got 6,000 sites that you've got to make efficient in order to be able to mitigate against the huge exposure your organisation has on the CRC. And he turned around and he said, actually, Angus, I think it's going to be 10,000, but we are waiting for the Environment Agency to decide whether it's 6 or whether it's 10. But he has promised me he's not going to ask any indiscreet questions, because the object of this exercise is to talk about what you can do to mitigate the costs of the CRC, how you reduce carbon, how you reduce the cost of your kilowatt hours. And so if you may, Alex, if you'd like to come up and tell us a little bit about how you've done it or how you intend to do it in your estate, that would be excellent. Thank you.